My dominance is probably what led me to start this group.
Mine kind of all flows together, and I can be more of, squirrel. Just be like in a whole other direction.
I'm the person who says, okay, whatever they tell me to do, I'll do it.
I can be slow on the go because I want to make sure all the I's are dotted and all the T's are crossed.
Welcome to the Brand New Me podcast. I'm Frances.
And I'm Pam.
And we are two women passionate about helping others thrive in life, not just survive. In each episode, we're going to find creative ways to offer hope for your future through our own life experiences. So join us every week as we learn together that we really can be a brand new me. Welcome to podcast episode number 33 and part 2 of a 2-part series where we're talking about the DISC test and the different temperaments, the D, the I, the S, and the C. Last week we heard from D and I, dominant and inspirational. This week we're going to hear from the S and the C. So Sharon is going to tell us what the S is, the part of the DISC study. And Sharon is a musician, and you heard a little bit of her music at the very beginning of the podcast, and now you're going to hear a little bit more interwoven through her part of the interview. So let's get to it. Sharon, start us off with explaining the S.
Okay, an S is steadiness, but also they can be pretty sensitive and conservative, loyal, cooperative, predictable, patient. Although that one kind of surprised me because I don't feel like I've always been a patient person, but I think that I'm learning that I'm more patient than I thought I was. They can be possessive. They can be very resistant to change, but they can also be very sweet, shy, which when I think about it, I don't think I realized that was what I was earlier in life because of circumstances. And I think I was realizing that I was trying to fit myself into something I wasn't. And so the more I've grown over the years, the more I feel like I'm fitting into who God created me to be, and I'm getting more comfortable with it and understanding it better, which is kind of cool, and that frees you up. And the S personality can be very people-oriented and really care a lot about people and what they're going through, be pretty empathetic and sympathetic. They can show a lot of deep emotion, which we were talking earlier about these little jingles that we have, and one of my jingles is the song Feelings, Nothing More Than Feelings. And sometimes I've felt like that, like, oh my gosh, all I feel is all this feelings. Can't they ever just go away? So sometimes I can feel things pretty deeply, and sometimes that's a really good thing. Sometimes it's not, but it can be very, very helpful, especially in ministry, when you're ministering to somebody who just needs a sympathetic ear or needs some love or a hug. And I'm finding that God's been just helping me to grow stronger in that area. I always thought that I had to perform more or be somebody different. And what I'm coming to realize is with singing, because I'm a musician also, and I'm realizing that my gift is to just sing over people and bring comfort into them, kind of like a healing type thing. And I don't know, it's just freed me so much to just realize that I can just be who God created me to be, and it's okay. And I love that.
Your CD is still in my white van. I forget which one it's called. It's the latest one you did.
A resting place?
A resting place. I get in the van, I turn on the CD player because yours comes right up and it just starts right off. and it just puts me to such a place of peace. I would affirm that you definitely have that ability, and I believe that's where the sensitive temperament and personality has its strength. As a musician, you are very sensitive to the room, you're very sensitive to people, and that is a strength.
Beautiful, you are my God, beautiful to me. Wonderful is your love, this is what I see.
Yeah, the downside is that we're very sensitive to the room, to what people said, to what they look like, how they looked at you. Can be the downside. But these things like DISC and Personality Plus with Florence Littauer, they are simply handles for us to get a hold of and understand better who we are, how we're wired. They're not a mold, they're only a handle.
It is beautiful, so beautiful. Marvelous is
Let's say, what motivates you as a steady, sensitive, kind, empathetic person?
Well, since we've talked about singing over people, that really motivates me. And so I have been starting to do that. And there's just something that touches me so deeply inside when I do that. I feel like I'm inputting something into them, and it brings me joy. It brings me peace. It helps me want to do something that day. And I often, like you were talking about what makes you get up in the morning, I am not a morning person at all. I hate to get up in the morning. But if I have something like that I know I'm going to go somewhere that day and I'm going to sing over somebody who's feeling discouraged or feeling depressed, that just sparks something in me. It fills me with energy. It fills me with life. And if I'm feeling down, it lifts my spirits. And so I would say that's pretty much what motivates me and my grandkids. I love my grandkids.
So most people who are not morning people, though, are night owls. And you're probably up till 1 or 2 writing, or
3 or 4.
Or 3 or 4. Wow. Okay. Yeah. See, I'm just starting to get up at that time in the morning, and I'm shutting down these days about 3 in the afternoon. So what are the main desires of your personality?
Well, I really want to be a more understanding and better listener. That's an area that sometimes I think maybe I don't always listen as well as I could. As funny as it sounds, because I am a sensitive person, I want to be more sensitive to people. I want to understand what they're going through better and not feel like I have to have the answer for what their problem is, because that can get me into trouble. And then another thing is that people with my personality like to be included.
Okay, so speaking of that, how do you fit into the Dash Girls? Like when you guys are talking through and planning an event, how do you fit into this?
Whatever they tell me to do, I'll do it.
Well, thanks, Sharon. Anything else you want to say about this temperament?
I was thinking that I'd just like to reiterate, kind of like what you said, is that just because I am a sensitive person doesn't mean I'm stuck. I'm not stuck in the constraints, the things that constrain me, that might hold me back with being too sensitive. I'm not stuck in that. I don't have to box myself in. And, how I see it is that those areas that I'm not as strong in is that God is revealing them to show me how to get stronger in those areas, how to grow, to become more confident, to become more sure of myself. And so I just think that with these personalities, we need to make sure that we don't take our weaknesses or the constraints and focus so much on them that we kind of forget about what the wonderful, strong things are about the personality.
That's good. And that's what Brand New Me is all about. It's letting God change us and make us into incredible people out of where we started from. All right, so let's move on to conscientious. I've already heard Zoe talk about this. Now, we've had Zoe on a previous podcast. She lost her brother in the Vietnam War. But I've heard her present her part of the personality, and I had a lot of connection with you, Zoe. So take it away. Tell us about the C.
Thanks, Frances. It's great to be here. It's such a joy because this is a passion of our hearts. And so to get to help other women become free in their identity, first in who they are in Christ, and then know that He made them unique for a purpose, and that we don't have to try to be like anybody else. And there's so much more freedom in being who we're created to be. So it's joy to share this with everybody today. And I'm the C, conscientious, and so I'm the last part of the disc. And I just want to say up front that we're all a mix of every personality type. And so my personality of being a C is highly influenced also by S and I. Now, D, Pam's got it all. My D is so low, but that's okay. And the other part of the disc that I just wanted to mention is the D and the C are more task-oriented. The I and the S are more people-oriented. Not that we do those to the exclusions of the other, but that is the bend in those personality types. I think that's important to know, and they're all valued. So my characteristics, this probably won't relate to everybody, everything that I say, and I don't own some of these things for myself, but I have struggled with perfectionism. And the reason is because I'm detail-focused, and I'm fact-oriented and analytical. So I want to do things right, and I want to do things carefully. So I can be slow on the go because I want to make sure all the I's are dotted and all the T's are crossed. So that's a great thing. But it also, in a group setting, can be a drag because I can get caught up in the details and lose the perspective of the big picture. I'm the one in our team meetings that's talking about, well, how are we going to get there? What's it going to cost? How many people are going to be there? We need this. We need that. Did you think about this? Did you think about that? So that's who I am on the team. I'm creative. You know, I like to think outside the box and think how we can do things. And I'm also loyal and sensitive. And because of that, I'm also diplomatic. I care that everybody gets drawn in and enters into what we have to bring to them. I'm the one who looks for the person in the room that's off in the skirting of the room who's not quite fitting in. That probably comes back from some childhood exclusions, you know, even growing up. And so it's important for me that everybody can get on board and have a great time and feel like they are valued and that they matter. I can sometimes seem negative because I can perceive a problem. Like I can look at the facts and say, well, yeah, but then we're going to need to think about this. And I'm good at problem solving. In fact, it's interesting when I got the revelation of my personality type is when I looked back at my life, which is pretty long at this point, I realized that so much of what I loved, so much of what I did relates to this personality type that I didn't even understand. So it's so fun getting to understand how you're wired and just embracing that and knowing that it's fun. It's fun being comfortable in your own skin. I don't have to be the D. I don't have to get the vision. But my responsibility is making sure that vision is accomplished to the glory of God to the best of our ability. So what motivates me? I love information and logic. Now you'd think I was a big reader, but I'm not a big reader. But when I'm taking something on, I want to know the details. I want to know what we're facing, how we're going to accomplish it, and I want to make sure everything's covered. Have you ever been at an event and for some reason there's just not enough of the material to go around? That bothers me because I would want every person in that room to feel like we prepared for them. We valued their time and we valued their presence, and we had done everything we could to make sure that they were fully equipped to enter into all we had. I like quality. Susan, my daughter, is so funny. She said, I picked out this purse, Mom, and she said, it's a Coach, and she says, I guess I'm like my mama. And it's just like quality does matter, and it's not a name brand thing. It's not that at all. But if you're going to do something, I want to do it right. I feel like I can struggle with people and their expectations of me and wanting to meet those expectations. And so that's kind of a constraint that you can get into, trying to please people because you are that detailed person and you are the one who is kind of like the bottom line. One of my constraints can be is I avoid conflict. I want everyone to be content, things running smooth, so I can shy away from confrontation. Because I'm kind of introspective, sometimes I work best when I'm alone because the details require focus. And then sometimes I can lose sight of the big picture because I'm focused on all of the details that I cannot enter into the fun of the big picture and see how we're going to get there, really irrespective of some of the little details. Some of them just don't matter in the end result, but they matter to me because that's the way I'm wired. I like clear boundaries. I like to know what people expect of me. Like on this Dash team, I know what the girls expect of me. But that's good because then I know how to meet those expectations. It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. So I think that what I bring to the team is a high standard that, we take care of things and do things with excellence, do them well. I research information so that we know that we're not missing anything. I'm kind of sometimes the anchor of reality. I think about what the pitfalls can be, and what problems can be foreseen so that things do go smoothly.
What makes you get up in the morning?
I think one of the things that really spurs me on to get up in the morning is the brand new day. It's a clean slate. It's full of possibilities. What does God have in store? What do I get to do and partner with Him? And in the line of work that I've had, which has been a lot of accounting type of things, there's usually never an end. I always said my perfect job would be a job that I could walk into at the beginning of the day, walk out of the end of the day, and the next day it was just a brand new start. But most of the jobs I've had through life weren't that way. So I think that now that I'm retired, and I'm not full-time working, I think it's just being able to wake up and say, God's given me a brand new day. It's a clean slate, and we get to paint on it together.
So when you go out to places, tell us what a day or an experience with the Dash Girls, what does that look like?
Well, what we do is if we have a whole day, which is what we really desire to have with women or any group, it doesn't have to be just women. We like to pretty much go through our personality types and describe them, let people know, like we did today. And then after that, we a lot of times will have them take the DISC test right there. And then we do like a fun activity that involves the DISC test and that would be too hard to explain, but we do something fun like that. And then in the second half of the day, a lot of times we will give our testimonies and refer to our personality types and how we dealt with situations in our life. Like me as a D, like what made me feel this way? How did I react to this through the eyes of a D? And one thing interesting about my personality type, when I took the test when my first husband was living, I was always an I, a high I, and a D. I was more of, the fun party girl, which I still am. I do like to have fun. Because he was more in charge. He was the pastor of the church. He was the head of the Christian television station. He did this, he did that. And so it's interesting, after he passed away, and when I took the test a few years after that, every time I take the test or different tests like the Myers-Briggs, I am a D. So not that my personality changed, but just the circumstances in your life make you adapt to certain things. And so that's what happened. I had to become a D because I was by myself and I had to make all my own decisions. I was a widow. I had to make decisions about where am I going to work? What am I going to do? And so I became a D more. And so that D was kind of sitting, not dormant, but laid back because he was in charge, and I honored him to be in charge. And so I always thought that was kind of interesting. We Dash Girls have an absolute blast. And when we go out to speak and do our thing, we never hesitate to have fun. We also sing some, we lead some worship. But we would love for our listeners to consider having us at their retreats or their women's events, because that's something that we absolutely love to do. And we do have a website. It is called -girlssoar.com. So if you would like to even just read a little bit about us, we're updating our website, but it's still up right now, but you can see some of the things we've done. So it's -girlssoar.com.
So Sharon told us that her theme song as the S would be feelings, nothing more than feelings. Pam, what is your little jingle?
My little jingle is I Did It My Way.
All right, Lisa, what is the jingle of the I?
Mine is celebrate. Good times. Because,
Come on.
Come on, everybody. Come on.
All right, and Zoe, what is your theme song, your jingle song?
You've got to know when to hold them. You've got to know when to fold them. You've got to know when to walk away or when to hide.
Wow, that's great. Okay, ladies. Well, thank you so much for being here today. And yeah, if you want to have the Dash Girls come to your place for a retreat or a day away, I think you'd have a lot of fun with them, and it's very helpful information. And I couldn't resist throwing in this old song that I wrote and recorded years and years ago when I first learned about the personalities. It really did change my life. You were either sanguine, choleric, melancholy, or phlegmatic, but it's the same as the D, I, S, and C. And so just for fun, I threw it in. We'll close out the podcast with this. We'd love to hear from you. Tell us what you are. Which personality do you relate to? You can email us at brandnewmepodcast@gmail.com. All right, here we go. Personality song. And let it be noted, I was a young pup when I recorded this one. Sanguines love to have parties. Cholerics want to be in charge. Melancholies wish life was perfect. Phlegmatics just don't really care. Now all the personalities were made by God, and everybody has a place. But since I am the writer of this little song, I think melancholies sure are best. Sanguines love to tell stories. Exaggeration is their gift. Don't worry that the story's not truthful, as long as it'll make us laugh. Now all the personalities were made by God, and everybody has a place. But since I am the writer of this little song, I think melancholy sure are best. Cholerics love to be bossy, order everyone around. No matter that you're hurting my feelings, as long as you were always right. Now all the personalities are made by God, and everybody has a place. But I'm still the writer of this little song, so I think melancholy still are best. Melancholies love to be perfect. Don't do it if it's not done right. Our standards may be higher than heaven's, but someone's gotta show